Welcome to Bill Naiman's Bogus Hangout. We've got a interesting conversation going on in the group today already. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves. Doc?
Hello, everybody. Doc Sheldon of Intrinsic Value SEO and Search News Central. And I specialize in technical SEO and being a general pain in the ass.
Is it Terry?
Terry Van Horn, SEO Pros, working with the SEO Dojo. Right now, I'm kind of working with Dave on our audio stuff again, getting ready to launch SEO Dojo Radio and looking for new podcasts to promote for people and add to our collection of over 200 by me and Dave. And some I did. You're on quite a few. Your name in the tag cloud's about this big. Yeah, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Mm-hmm. So Tim?
Tim Calling, A Servant's Heart, Web Design and Marketing. Nothing particularly new. Everything's normal. Just fighting a good fight, trying to help my clients get more revenue.
And I am Bill Slosky. I'm the author at SEO by the Sea and the director of SEO research at Go Fish Digital. And I've been looking at new things to blog, including a new patent on phrase-based indexing, which I think is really, it changes around the way it helps ranking. And it's something I called about 10 years ago one of the top 10 SEO patents of all time, and maybe now more so because of the way they've changed it, updated it.
What was that again? Phrase match?
Phrase-based indexing.
Oh, okay. Phrase. Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Should we just spend the next hour listening to Bill talk about the topic? Probably really good.
I can actually give a less than a minute description of what changed.
Good.
Okay, so if you look at the words that appear on pages that rank highly for a phrase or term, and grab the co-occurring phrases, meaningful phrases that are shared on those pages that rank highly for those terms, and call them related phrases. The new patent says the pages with the most related phrases tend to rank higher than pages with less related phrases.
Question?
And
how would that relate to the related phrases within a search? Is that what you're kind of referring to as well?
Okay, so if you have a page about the White House, if you include terms like Washington, D.C., President of the United States, people know that's a special White House.
Right, okay, gotcha.
It's got a semantic meaning. And those phrases predict that it's about the President of the United States, the Capitol, Washington, D.C., because they're on pages about the White House. A page about the White House may rank higher because those phrases appear on that page. And pages that have more of those related phrases should rank higher than other pages. And this is regardless of page rank or information retrieval scores.
That almost has to involve some vector analysis, don't you think, Bill? To scale?
Okay, you're familiar with inverted indexes for phrases and terms?
Mm-hmm.
So Google did an inverted index for meaningful phrases that appear on pages in addition to terms that pages might rank for. So this is an extra level of indexing across the web that they did. And if you write a page about White House and you include phrases like President of the United States or Rose Garden or press conference or so on, and Google has considered those as co-occurring terms that frequently appear on pages about the White House, they've indexed those in a posting list. So they can scan your page, find all the related phrases that appear on your page, and tell which one should rank higher. So if you write a page about baseball stadiums, and related phrases for baseball stadiums might be things like pitcher's mound, concession stands, outfield, center fielder, so on. And so once again, the more related phrases, the higher your page is going to rank. Now, there's a spam filter on that. If the amount of related phrases is statistically abnormal, much higher than it really should be, they might consider you a scraper, and that you've scraped lots of content from lots of pages about topics, and they might knock you out of search results because of that.
Interesting.
But that was an interesting update to see this morning.
That was just this morning.
Yeah. I'm going to write a post about it. But yeah, that was.
Up jumped Steve.
I think you're breaking up, Steve.
Somebody's got their speakers on.
Yeah, I can't see how they would effectively go after those phrases like that without using vectors. And running another separate index like that, that's a tremendous increase in scale.
When I first came across a patent that said they were doing posting lists for phrases, I said, this is a lot of work. Then I started counting the number of patents there are from Google on phrase-based indexing. And once I hit over 20, I said, yeah, they've put a lot of work into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because usually you don't find that many related phrases on topic. But when you remember that Anna Patterson, who's behind phrase-based indexing, left Google. She left Google to join Cool, a Google killer. Cool failed. Google rehired her as a vice president of search 2 weeks later. So they seem to like her.
Seems like.
Yeah.
Bill, related phrases. You know how at the end of the search they have related phrases? Or are they related searches, not related phrases?
Those are related searches.
Okay.
Yeah, different.
Those are often taken from places like query sessions. So they'll look at what people search for when they are doing different sessions. So if I search for Cincinnati Reds, I may search for baseball players from the Reds, and those are people also search for type results.
So they would be the new combinations tried after the initial one, maybe?
There would be queries that were during the same search sessions that were related by topic.
Right on. Okay. suggestions that they drop down when you're putting the search in, and it, you know, makes you stop putting letters in. It doesn't put all the letters in as it catches up and annoys everybody to high, you know.
The autocomplete stuff, yeah.
Yeah, the autocomplete. I looked at a tool that gathered all of the autocompletes from a session. That's probably good for doing related topics, right?
I would wonder about that, because just last night I was doing a Google search for some information, and I found a number of auto-suggests that looked viable, so I clicked on them, and I get we have no results on almost all of those auto-suggests. Now, that might just have been a temporary glitch because I'm testing, or some changes going on, but I've never seen that before. Anytime I've ever clicked on an auto-suggest, it offered something, even if it was only 5 results. And this was like 8 or 9 different auto-suggests off the same search query that gave me, we have no result. We couldn't find anything.
Right. Those are supposed to get people to use search more, not less.
Oh, by the way, here are some more ads.
While we have you here,
yeah, and we're doing our best to keep you here too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ammon, how you doing?
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not so bad. Not so bad. Good to see you all.
Same here. You sorted yet for leads?
No, still working on it. My original planned accommodation has also sort of fallen through, or rather, it's changed. Yeah, it turned out 3 in a bed was going to get crowded.
Well, it depends on which 3. I mean, a lot of guys would just, they'd kick their grandmother out of the house for the chance of a threesome, but a guy does need to be selective.
Not going there. Not going there.
Yeah, it's been an interesting week. Yeah, most definitely. Obviously, yesterday was the most interesting part, wasn't it, Bill?
It has moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was kind of a living lesson on how not to do customer service.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking about this a little bit. Not in this session so far, but so when someone does copyright infringement, there are tools that you can use to find it, like Copyscape. But when somebody does plagiarism, I'm not aware of any tool that you can use that will identify plagiarism.
That's the only tool that exists for that, I think, is between our ears.
Copyright is definitely one of those things that a lot of people really struggle with understanding. There's a lot of people who think that if they just mention where they've got something, then that protects them. No. If that thing is protected by copyright, then just saying where you got it doesn't protect you in the least. It just highlights the fact that you're admitting you took it from there.
Self-incrimination. I saw a rather lengthy discussion quite a while back on Facebook about fair use and copyright and there is an unbelievable percentage of people on Facebook that profess to be editors or publishers or copywriters that have zero understanding of the fair use principle. Like probably 90% of them.
Yep.
And there are SEOs who profess to have an understanding of patents and what a patent might say, who will point to a white paper, call it a patent, and expect people to believe that it's a patent. It's not.
Well, it is, but for this expenditure of about $50,000 or so in legal fees.
Even then, a patent is laid out in legal language to protect.
I'm kidding.
But I think this is an important distinction for anybody that does struggle to know the difference.
It was a joke about lawyers.
A patent is designed to protect your intellectual property and very specifically nail down exactly what's yours and what you mustn't touch. Whereas a white paper is more often than not an open invitation for discussion, collaboration, for people to use those ideas. They're opposite principles.
It was a joke.
If somebody professes to be an expert on patents and papers and shows that they don't know the difference between the two, don't expect to listen to them about anything else.
That's a bit of a giveaway. Yeah.
Believe what they're saying. Yeah.
I know that you were kidding, Tim, but I would add to what Ammon said too. You know, that $50,000 added on to a white paper, that only would establish it at best as an application. And I wonder what percentage of applications are ever approved. Probably
all of them.
No, I think very few. I think a very small percentage of them ever get approved.
When Larry Page filed the PageRank patent, he paid $80.
Oh yeah, back then.
It's a small entity.
Yeah.
So in my software career, I was involved in filing, certainly not discovering, but working on the filing of probably 20 different patents. I think we got just about all of them, but they were very well done.
Yeah.
And they were by big companies, with big legal budgets.
Of course, there is a major difference between applying for a patent, getting a patent, and then having that patent stand if challenged.
Exactly.
And that's the part that's expensive. I've known companies who had to spend 6 times as much on the legal team that researched prior use, prior art, and worked out whether there was enough unique about their invention that would stand in court.
Yep. Yeah, it actually, I remember reading something a few years ago from some patent lawyer that was saying that the majority of the cases challenging an existing patent that actually go to court, majority of them, the challenge prevails. Because by the time you spend 6 figures or more researching, you're not going to take it to court unless you know you're going to win, because then that's when the price really goes up. So the vast majority of challenges are successful and they prevail.
Well, a typical, not like an outstanding, but a typical IP attorney bills out at, what do you think, Bill, 600 an hour or more?
I would guess it's about probably right.
Yeah. When we filed for we filed for 3 trademarks or service marks for my home care business, we got them all, and I think we were paying about 600 an hour. What I decided after all that was, it was a fruitless endeavor, because there's still you still spend tens of thousands defending those later. So, but yeah, the attorney we were using, I think he was $6 or $6.50 an hour.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes to trademark, they bring you so much value.
Yeah,
It's worth spending money on.
but they're hard to defend.
I saw a lovely piece of intellectual property violation just waiting for a huge lawsuit earlier this week as well, when somebody was asking about it was Mike Gracie was asking how people feel about various platforms, Wix, Squarespace, you know, and the like. I'd probably have included HubSpot with that as well, because it's certainly got its unique quirks. But looking at the Wix site to see what had ever happened to that SEO Heroes competition, oh boy, if you haven't looked at the page they've got now for SEO Hero, take a look, because they are just kicking the bear. Never mind poking it, they are kicking the bear, and that particular bear is Marvel/Walt Disney.
Really?
Can you drop a link in the chat there for that, Ammon?
I would never try to take on Walt Disney in a property case. Mickey Mouse will kick your butt.
Yeah, exactly. They've got takeoffs of the X-Men that are clearly identifiable as takeoffs of the X-Men on that page. They are asking for an ass kicking.
Wow. Huh.
Which shows you how desperate they were to hide the evidence of what was up there before the failed competition. I mean, you know that something is really bad when you risk a huge copyright violation and lawsuit, and you still regard that as better than letting people know what happened to your competition.
Did Wix not win the SEO competition?
I never paid attention. That's a legitimate question. I don't know.
It kind of just faded away quickly.
So they weren't SEO Heroes?
No. Because the problem is Wix sucks for SEO. You have difficulty just getting tracking codes into the pages. And if you can't even get analytics on there, which is step one before you start SEO, it gives you an idea of the joys of the project coming ahead. You know,
here's the thing with Wix and Squarespace and all of those that I've seen with people I've worked with. Not one of them gives a damn about SEO. They are all YouTubers. They're all Instagrammers. I mean, 85, 95% of their traffic is social media. They could care less what Google thinks about their website. They want it to look pretty, and that's it. Because
they don't care
all of their
a whole lot
traffic
about
comes from social.
They don't care much more for their customers either. You know, just as long as you keep subscribing, then that's all they care about.
Well, you can build a pretty attractive, visually attractive website with some of those, at least with Squarespace. But I've never tried to optimize one of them for search results. First client I ever had in this industry was one where we converted a site from Wix over to WordPress. And I remember at the time that Wix seemed to be headquartered in Israel. And I wonder if I'm right about that, if they are somehow immune from IP lawsuits by Marvel. I don't know.
You know that thing in gangster movies where they say if you run to Shanghai, we'll have some mother pop out of a rice bowl and get you. I think that was about Marvel.
Okay. Okay.
Years ago I was involved with a game called City of Heroes, and it had a character creator editor where you could make your own superhero. And just because technically somebody could, with a lot of fiddling, make something that looked like a Marvel character, they were in big trouble and facing a lawsuit. I mean, Marvel will if you don't actively protect your trademark, your property against all perceived threats, you could lose that property. So even if Marvel don't think they will win, they will still have to take you on to retain the ability to fight other fights later.
which I have always felt was an unfair standard, because just like, if they want to come after me for a $20 million infringement suit, go for it. Give me something to hang on my wall, but don't hold your breath till you get more than about $1.58.
Well, that's why I was saying earlier.
Deciding that they have to attack my case just as stringently as they would a major corporate entity, I think is just not realistic.
That's why I was saying earlier that having service marks and paying a lot of money for them, for a small business anyway, like mine was, it's not worth it because it's too hard to defend them, as Ammon's pointing out. I mean, it's too costly.
Do what I do, marry a lawyer.
Regarding Squarespace and the likes, David Kutcher followed up on that. David's a guy I've got a lot of time for. Great designer, developer, but he has a gift for platforms that most people kind of walk away from or try desperately to push clients away from. He is very, very good at designing sites for Blogger. Why would you want to spend money on a Blogger site? Well, as much bandwidth as you like, it's already hosted on Google servers, so it's got some advantages there. Blogger's actually a really good platform, and as long as you use external JavaScripts and external CSS, you can do wonders with it, absolute wonders with it, and that's what he does. Squarespace, likewise, you can get your analytics on there. You can do a lot of stuff with it. There's quite a few themes available, and if you want to get something custom built, you can, kind of. But yeah, Blogger actually has some advantages to it.
Yeah, from a technical standpoint, I have always detested Squarespace and Wix and WP Engine.
Mm-hmm.
Peace out, Tim. But I just mostly from the standpoint of I don't like to see a client held prisoner and limited in what he can do that has no real logic behind it. If my hosting company says no, that plugin has proven to be a consistent vulnerability, so we don't allow it. Okay, there's some logic there. I can understand that. But when it's more of a no, you have to use this proprietary plugin because we sell it as an add-on, as opposed to that free one from some other source, then that just really goes against the grain.
I don't want to get into a holy war over WP Engine particularly. It's not my job, but I don't know what you're referring to.
There are limitations of what you can do, just like what Ammon was talking about. Being able to get analytics up on Wix is a nightmare. And
I was talking about WP Engine. They don't sell plugins.
I don't have deep knowledge of WP Engine. I know I've had some new clients that were on there, and 15 minutes after I got in there and try to see what we can do, I start the discussion about moving them somewhere else.
Yeah, they're a hosting company. They don't sell plugins, and they do have some prohibited plugins, and
they do have some services that they do offer as an increase, an adder. And
the thing I particularly dislike about Wix is it's not just that you'll very quickly meet the limitations of the platform. It's not just that you will meet an absolute roadblock you cannot move forward from. It's that once you've met that, you'll discover that it's quicker and cheaper to restart from scratch than to try and salvage anything from your Wix site, because getting your clean code out, being able to copy what you've got on your Wix site easily is an absolute nightmare. It's quicker to rebuild it.
We scraped the content out of it. That's all we were able to do for the project I mentioned. So.
Thank God for HT Track, right?
Well, and even that doesn't work sometimes. So actually, I've had more and more trouble with that lately. I use it when I can. I use it to sort of create a backup for historical purposes. But
when I moved one site from Wix over to WordPress, I couldn't even scrape it adequately. So what I actually had to do is I had to go in and copy each page and manually transfer this shit. And fortunately, it was only like a 30-page site. You know, if that had been a 6,000 pages, it would have cost a fortune.
Yeah, you can pull all that stuff with PHP and using the right, there's a function to do that. I pulled all kinds of stuff off
Off of Wix?
Off of anywhere. If it's published, you can pull it.
The problem with the Wix stuff is it tends to use JavaScript stacks quite heavily.
There's a lot of server-side stuff, yeah.
A whole load of gibberish to anything that can't adequately pass JavaScript. And most tools that scrape sites don't handle JavaScript well enough to do it. Full stop. That's why it's almost impossible to get anything off. And the few people with tools that are designed to do it tend to be expensive, which is why I say it's quicker and cheaper to build it from scratch. It can be got off. There are tools that can do it, but they're not cheap. And yeah, much cheaper to start from scratch than to actually pay to have the expertise to get it off there.
You know, in the long run, even though if Google has its way, it won't really matter what we do for on-site optimization.
There's limits. Yeah, you know, Google
You'll still have to do it. People just won't go to your site. You'll still have to do it.
If you have, you know,
Google won't send them to your site. It'll just serve it in the search. They'll always crawl your site.
Oh, I know.
Google doesn't give up free information.
True.
We've seen a shift in the way Google approach things. And it's a really interesting and clean change of direction that doesn't get talked about a lot. But it used to be that Google's limitation was what they could pass. But once they had got the information there, they were platform agnostic. You know, that information is available, and as long as it's available, we don't care how fast, we don't care what platform it's on, we don't care whether it's text, PDF, as long as that information is there and it's going to serve the user, we'll send them there. And then we got the mobile first indexing, and suddenly accessibility is a much bigger issue. It's all about how fast do you serve things, how cleanly do you serve things. Oh yeah, we know that you've got this content that's available after somebody does this, this, and this, but because it's not available on first view, yeah, we're not going to give it full weight, etc., etc. So there's been a big shift, if you think about it, in the difference between what Google can get being the limitation and what Google expect the user experience to be, and therefore are dictating upon you what they expect a user experience to be being an actual ranking factor.
And for local small service type businesses, they just assume they never go to the website at all. Assume you look at the knowledge panel and move on.
Yeah, I don't necessarily ascribe to that attitude. I think that they're interested in providing to the user an answer that the user is looking for. And if it's something that fits in the panel, fine. If it's a simple query that can be addressed, fine. But if it's more in depth, because from what I'm seeing, the sort of things that are not being answered 100% in the panel are those that require a more in-depth explanation or have more information to offer. So I don't think it's really an attitude on their part of let's try to make as much available here on the SERP as we can, as let's try to keep the users as satisfied as possible, which that's not a change. That's how they, the more users they keep, the more ads they can sell. So that's always been their stance.
The more, well, so I think that they're trying to do both, Doc, because if they can keep you on the SERP, then they can show you the ads. You'll keep seeing the ads, or they can show you other ones. But let's face it, for most small businesses, a lot of them are service-based businesses. What is it that they cannot show on the knowledge panel with the information that they're gathering more and more now for the knowledge panel? The About Us page, maybe?
Probably so, yeah. Because if I'm looking for somebody to perform a service, some household repair or something like that, one of the biggest things I'm going to be interested in is their reliability, their history. Seeing those review stars can be helpful towards that, but it's probably not going to be enough, at least for me. I want to see where they are, how big is their crew, do they have a shop or they work out of somebody's garage? What kind of a reliability and confidence factor can I have with these folks? And you're not going to normally be able to convey that stuff in a panel.
You're right. I agree with you.
For instance, your business, Tim, if I'm looking for someone to help me determine how I'm going to handle hospice care for my aged grandmother, confidence is going to be trust and confidence is going to be a major issue for me. So in your line of work, what could they possibly put in the panel other than the fact that you exist and here are the 6 types of services that you offer that would ever be able to convert somebody, or even entice them to dial your number without seeing more about you?
Well, so that's a fair point. You can put license numbers in, but that might be about the limit of it. Yep. But I think for a lot of these services, still we're going to be seeing a move more and more towards knowledge panel and local service ads, where Google guarantees the outcome. If you think about that,
guarantees the outcome in what regard?
I'm talking about the things that are still sort of an experimental stage, like in San Diego for locksmiths and plumbers, and I forget what other categories. Where they vet the people and they take a referral fee, and they guarantee, if you look at the way that those are described, up to like $2,000. They guarantee something. I'm not sure what, to be honest, because
that's news to me. I'm not aware of that, so I can't.
Yeah.
I think
it's becoming a big issue in local. The Google My Business stuff. If you're in, locksmith is one, plumber's another, and I think there's 2 more that are basically services that come to your house.
Yeah.
That tend to be bonded, and
they're doing the vetting with everything. These are good guys because of you got websites like Angie's List out there that they want to compete with. Amazon started doing the same thing with product refunds. Even if it's fulfilled by manufacturer, you can get a refund on something from Amazon for no reason. Yeah. Just
send it back.
Yep.
And if the vendor won't give you the refund, then Amazon will, and they'll put a hit on the vendor. And you have no choice. It is really hard to stop it once it gets elevated to that level.
Mm-hmm. But the big thing, Tim, is I think a lot of people misunderstand what Google's play is. Yeah, there are 2 parts to Google. There is the ad team and there is the search team. Mm-hmm. And the ad team, their job is to pay the bills for everybody else, but they're only allowed to play with a certain amount of real estate, and they're not allowed to talk to any of the other guys that deal with how it works. There is a Chinese wall, and they are absolutely serious about it.
I think that may be coming to an end.
I think it might, because they are starting to. I think there's going to be a third estate. I think there is going to be a deal breaker department that talks to both and has regulations. I think to an extent their legal team's always done that, but
Google is going to allow for combined content items where high-ranking organic results on the same brands that advertisements are on may be allowed by the advertiser to be merged.
Well, yeah, I saw something on that.
And one wonders which will take priority. Are Google going to play the long-term game of giving the advertiser better value by saying, hey, look, when you've got both, what we'll do is we'll put your free listing in the paid position and not charge you? Now, that would be a great long-term move. Or are they going to go the way that we cynical bastards expect, which is they're going to go, hey, what we'll do is we'll make your ad listing much bigger and include all your organic stuff, but we're going to charge you for that so that we get all the clicks that were skipping by and going to the organic before, we get them all to pay us.
That does sound more likely, doesn't it?
They've added additional paid-for features like site links or structured snippets as things that you could have on your paid ad.
But where I wanted to go,
people could add in lieu of their organic listing.
Yeah, they could reverse the order too. Put the organic listing first. Put the ad underneath that.
Where I wanted to go with the stuff about the Chinese wall, Tim, is that the ads people, the people who can make money off of this, have never had the ability to put any input into parts of the algorithm that determine how long people spend on a page or how far down they scroll or whether they go to a second page view. No, they're presented a SERP and they're saying, right, which bits of real estate, which pixels on this page do you want? But you're not going to be able to change how the page works. You're not going to be able to change people's click habits. And Google, they don't want you to spend longer on Google necessarily. They don't even, the ad department want you to click an ad, but the other department, really, they don't mind. What they're interested in is that you have a good enough experience that you come back to Google again and again and again and again.
As it always has been. Yeah,
it's always been that way. Yeah.
It's never about trapping that customer. It's never about railroading that single visit. It's always about customer lifetime value. Always.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing for people not to get into the tin hat. The tinfoil hat theories about Google and what they're trying to do is just remember, yeah, they want to make money, but the department that's allowed to do that isn't allowed to feed back into the algorithms. And the people on the algorithms are just interested in making sure that the customer lifetime value, that you keep using Google, you keep recommending Google, that's what's maximized.
Well, sure, because there's major correlation between their ad sales and their search traffic. You know, I mean, and that's not even correlation. That's causation, really, because the number of active users they have, searchers they have, is what makes them a sellable product to an advertiser.
Well,
and not least because they're also a data company, and more usage equals more data.
Absolutely.
There was a point in time when Yahoo showed their portal routes by doing things to purposefully keep you on page. And we've never really quite seen that at Google. There are some things they're doing, like showing people also ask type questions, where if you click on them to see what other questions people ask and find out more about them, you end up possibly spending a long time on a search results page looking at all those people also ask questions and answers.
So a lot of the times those weren't originally designed, of course, to maximize page views. They were to help with disambiguation when the algorithms were simpler and weren't as good at it. If somebody put in a query that there tended to be follow-up queries to, it would therefore suggest the people also searched for to see if it would get you to a better page and therefore more satisfaction and a better chance of using that engine.
Sort of like query refinements, but
yeah.
And more ads displayed.
Now it seems like there's an opportunity to show more ads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No more room anyhow.
And it's almost like there's an element of, we don't care what you search for because we're going to retarget you with ads for whatever it is.
Yeah, you can either participate in the decision or we'll make it for you.
Right. So we can retarget.
Yeah. We don't mind how many pages of ads you look at, because the ones you look at here aren't the big problem. It's the ones that follow you around the web for the next month that you're going to have to.
Dang it! I already bought that food. Stop showing it to me.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting stuff, and of course Gmail does much the same. Yeah, now they can not only know what you're interested in, but yeah, really detailed. You know, how much are you interested in this thing, and how urgently and specifically. And yeah, those ads can then follow you around all over the place as well.
Yep.
I haven't used a free Gmail account for a long time. I use G Suite for my business, but do they still show you ads in a free Gmail account when you were okay?
Yep.
I figured.
More than before.
That is, after all, you know, the major place that they're getting their value. They're getting several pieces of value out of Gmail. One is that obviously it's more advertising. The second one is what people are spam filtering is tracked, does become spam filters rather, not only to improve Gmail, but if you think some of those domains aren't then being penalized in SERPs as well, I think you're kidding yourself. And finally, don't forget that if they're processing your emails enough to know what to send you, I'll bet you some of that data is also helping their machine learning algorithms with natural language processing.
The latest Google I/O conference, they showed the ability for people to have conversations in Gmail by pressing the enter button to generate answers to statements people make. So they're doing lots of machine learning to understand natural language processing.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed in my smartphone, Gmail, which I don't use that much. I mostly use my laptop, but they auto suggest brief responses that are appropriate to the content of the email.
Yeah.
So they're doing that already to a certain degree. Sometimes they're pretty funny, but usually they're right on.
I'm reminded of the demonstration they had at that I/O conference where they had the phone conversations.
And then there was some discussion about whether those were phony.
No need. I mean, they get to pick their best. You know, you can run 50 experiments and then record the one that was best.
Yeah, it may have been cherry picked, but I don't think it was necessarily phony. No, not staged, but probably cherry picked. I mean, who the hell would just take a random one out of 2,000 in the barrel, pick a random one for a presentation?
Fair enough.
And that's nothing new. Back in the heyday of search engines, when there were hundreds of them and they were all competing rapidly, and you could not have a TV commercial break that didn't have at least one of the internet companies in there, whether it was Yahoo or Microsoft or Lycos or any of them. They were all running TV ads. They cherry picked the searches that they choose to feature in the ad as well. Most of those were hand edited before they ran the campaign, so they knew that that particular one they were advertising at least was going to be a really good set of results. I've noticed recently, every time I fire up the PC, I'm getting little suggestions on how to use Cortana, things I can ask it to do. Clever little campaign.
I had to go to tech support the other day, and to get a solution to a problem, and the guy asked me, "Well, have you tried Cortana?" And I said, "No," and I wouldn't know where to fucking look for her.
I turned that off right away.
No, thank you. But yeah, I have seen those suggestions too. Now, during that service chat, Ammon, I did, in the background, I went and I found it and I activated it just to see if that offered a solution. And that's when I started seeing all these recurring reminders and offers about Cortana. So thank God I wasn't looking for midget porn, you know.
Not that day.
Yeah, glad to hear that, Doc.
You simplified that one, didn't you? Because it's usually midget porn with tequila.
Mexican midget porn.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting that Microsoft are actively pushing more on the voice assistant. Obviously, they lack data compared to Apple, which has the iPhone usage, where, of course, mobile device, you're used to using your voice, you're more likely to use your voice with an iPhone than you are with a PC. And Google, with the Android tie-in, where you couldn't turn it off if you wanted to, you know, it's not, you're not offered the choice. Do you want us to listen to you? It's, do you want us to let you know we're listening to you? Would you like us to sometimes answer?
Would you like us to bust your bubble about privacy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Something just occurred to me too. About the same time after that call that I started seeing a lot of these Cortana reminders, I also got an email about the Windows 10, the new upgrade. Well, excuse me, not Windows 10, Office 365. That has the this new add-on for something like Dragon Speak, you know, the verbal transcription, where you talk to it, it types. And I found that the version I have, because they haven't got it out to everybody yet, I don't yet have that capability to, even though I'm on the most current version, I'm on 365, not 365 plus. So I can't get it yet. But at the same time, that started showing up. Now that may be coincidence or may not. I don't know.
I think they're both tied to the recent Windows 10 update, which was quite a large one, and I think included several, you know, marketing pushes in it. We know that in the past, Microsoft have pushed heavily for their web space, you know, the virtual disks and so on and so forth through Windows. And I think this one was, right, let's push Cortana a little bit harder. We've got it there. We've got market saturation, but people aren't using it enough. And we don't have the data for voice that Apple and Android have. So we need to get more users. There aren't as many Windows phones by magnitudes. So you know, for their data to keep up, for them to stay competitive, they absolutely need more people to start using Cortana. And I think they've got the right tactic. I think it's going to work for them.
I think it's a good tactic, but I would wonder if they're ever going to catch up.
The guy who was behind Cortana at Microsoft, Larry Heck, left Microsoft 3 years ago to work for Google, and he recently left Google to work for Samsung. So these search engineers get around.
When we say he left to go and work for them, it didn't involve a van, lots of men, and a hood over his head, did it?
I think maybe for Samsung it did.
But yeah, I was going to say, knowing the Koreans, it could well be.
It's a small field. It's certainly one they're all playing very hard in. You know, we've said this countless times, but voice search is immense because it's a step forward. It's a step away from users being as dependent on keyboards.
Now, Samsung does have Bixby, which is it was founded by the guys who first came out with Siri.
What was that again, Bill?
Samsung has a voice assistant called Bixby,
Yeah.
which was founded by the guys who created Viv, which was the thing they did after they founded Siri.
And of course, it was Samsung, wasn't it, who had the TV, the thing in all their smart TVs, which they decided to wind back, which was a bit too helpful. They decided it was a little bit too intrusive for most users at that time.
So all words are hot words. We just respond to some.
You make a sound. It's voice actuated. You drop a pin and it's going to turn on.
Mm-hmm.
I have a Samsung TV, and I wonder about that from time to time.
It may be listening.
It used to be that it kept extensive user data on what you watched and at what times, so that it could, offer more interesting help and suggestions to people on what to watch next, i.e. maximize the time that people are watching TV. And also give them great ideas on exactly when was the best time to be advertising on TV for any of their products. But yeah, they decided it was a little bit too intrusive and wound it back, which probably means it's the Android version of wound it back. Was now it doesn't let you know it's watching.
Right. If you've heard of the Nielsen families, they're the ones who would let people do diaries about what they were watching on TV. Mm-hmm. They've got a patent for digital audio watermarks. So they could listen in while you're on a computer or something as you're watching TV and find out what you're watching. You don't have to keep those diaries anymore of what you're watching on TV. They'll keep track of it for you.
Well, if you're using a streaming box like a Amazon Fire or an Apple TV, I would speculate that they have all that data ready to hand now.
Yeah. But
Nielsen is the one that is selling themselves as a TV analytics program. They're selling networks their data.
They've done that. They've
been doing that for decades. Yeah.
Yeah. It certainly has, changed what people think of. Back in the day, TV's advertising was absolutely down to the ratings, and the rating system was pretty straightforward and simple. A representative sample of users, and then you looked at what percentage of them were watching, and you extrapolated that across the entire population to estimate what the viewership of a thing was. But of course, it didn't have the ability to spot if you were, regularly changing channels. It's not that they couldn't know; it's that they wouldn't include that data. So a show would have, X number of viewers, but they wouldn't say, but most of these viewers abandoned the show at some point during the program and before the end.
It all sounds very much like Mad Men.
And what I find abusing and surprising is, in spite of all of this sort of invasion, some of it clandestine, some of it hidden in plain sight, invasion of privacy, people get all up in arms when they find out that some Vanity Fair model's image was airbrushed. The fact that they're listening into your bed conversation with your significant other doesn't seem to bother them near as much as the fact that this model is not as represented.
Yeah,
it doesn't bode well for us.
And of course, this is the real reason why the listening in is creepy, is because what we're worried about is it really crossing the line into the overly personal. Technically, your phone could identify how often you were going to the bathroom and determine if you had a medical condition and sell you advertising related to that. It could listen for sounds of pain while you were in that bathroom and possibly sell you medical preparations for that. It can recognize noises of intimacy and how often they're occurring to decide whether to sell you porn or not. Yeah, you know, it very, very quickly crosses over into an area where you don't let people with money make the decisions because they tend to make bad ones.
So your phone has a gyroscope and a accelerometer built into it. It can tell when you're walking strangely and if you're sick because of that.
Yeah. And, you know, it very quickly gets into an uncomfortable level of intimacy, and it's going to take a lot of years. I think we're honestly going to be debating for 40 years the issues of privacy and intimacy as they relate to technology, as more and more devices offer to assist us or keep an eye on us. Because let's face it, even those smart fridges, by knowing what you're eating, could start offering you things related to diet and obesity because it reckons you're you know, an easy target.
And when the fridges start putting cameras inside so you can check on how much milk you have when you're at the grocery store, there are going to be people packing your fridge to create food porn. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I think we've already given up so much control of privacy that I just don't see it as being a reversible trend.
I think most revolutions happen after people cross the line, not before it. I think there will be a watershed moment at which people will actually take serious action.
I don't think there will be. I think everybody's perfectly willing to give up a significant amount of privacy in exchange for convenience.
Exactly.
I mean, you look at places like Experian that basically gave up everything about you. And then they turned around and offered a service where they would go look and see if that information that they let get stolen
and sold
is
the hell
available
out
on the dark web, and then sell you a service to clean that up. It's like nobody cares. They never will.
And then they signed a $10 million contract with the IRS to have more information. Yeah.
Nope, nobody cares as long as it's convenient. You know, and I think if Microsoft had picked a different name other than Cortana for their voice search, they'd be doing a whole lot better. Because the only people that understood Cortana were the Halo players. After that, it's like, what's this name? This name's stupid. I don't want to say Cortana out loud all the time.
It does sound more like a Mexican drug cartel than the system.
Yeah.
Hey, Cortana, send the boys around. You know, I mean,
if they wanted to be really cool, they'd let you name your phone, so you could name it whatever you wanted.
Bitch.
Shoot, yep.
Okay, bitch. Shit.
Do you like the GPS does give you 5 or 6 different voice options? So when it talks to you, you've got a voice that you want to listen to. Yeah. I don't understand where they do their market research, but obviously they keep missing the boat somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're past around
top of the hour. What's everyone up to in the week ahead? Bill?
I'm going to write about that phrase-based indexing patent. That I think should be interesting.
Yeah. Don't forget, add some easy footnotes for the plagiarists so that they can spot which ones are papers and which ones are patents.
Save some time.
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn something as well as be able to copy it. My week is I'm going to be doing absolutely no promotion assistance or anything for SEMrush or anyone doing anything with SEMrush. And that's going to be this week, next week, the week after that. false allegations against my friends really do not sit well with me, and I don't tend to go along with that. Doc, what are you up to in the week ahead?
I'm going to be trying to spend a lot more time on a site that we're working on, launching a new venture. I'll try to get that thing ready to roll. That should keep me busy for the next week. Yeah.
And then the week after that, for the fact that you always double the time you estimate for these things.
Well, yeah, I find that for every 10 minutes I put in on something, what I expected to take me 5, it ends up taking me 40 for every 10 minutes that I put into it. And if I put the 40 in, it's just exponential.
Yeah.
Steve?
What are we doing? Actually helping 3 new clients get listed on Amazon, get their products up and running for Amazon sales. One of them, we're skipping their website entirely. We're not even building them a website. They're not even going to bother. They're going to skip their own e-commerce and go straight to Amazon. And then if the Amazon sales work well, then we'll work backwards and build a website. We're finding that may be the better solution for people with only 1 or 2 products. But the amount of, the cost of building a decent e-commerce website, you could be up and selling on Amazon in a week.
Yeah.
So,
and definitely,
it just depends.
You can use Amazon to get out there, get exposed to an audience, get some customers, and then make sure that the customers are coming back to your own property, your own website.
If people aren't searching for your product niche on Amazon, then they're probably not searching for it anywhere. So
it's still kind of wild west
product. It's very Wild West, and I love it. There are some interesting elements to their ranking factors that if Google were to do it, people would lose their damn minds, because the only way to be successful on Amazon is to be 100% willing to do anything. Knowing full well that over time they will continue to refine, and you just have to.
We'll make hay while the sun shines.
Yep. And everybody does it. There is no white hat, black hat. It is, if you want to make sales, this is what you are going to do, because these are the elements that are in place as they are today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd just add to the thing, if people aren't searching for it on Amazon, they're not searching for it anywhere. There's a little bit of discovery stuff that goes on outside of Amazon. If I want to research gourmet coffee, I'm going to do that on Google. If I'm doing gourmet coffee maker, I'm going to do it on Amazon. But of course, if you've got
when you're doing physical product, when you're doing physical product and there's only one other seller on Amazon, either 1, it's a really unique product, or 2, there's just no market for it. And the easiest way to find out is to put your product up there too. Yeah. And go from there. One other thing I wanted to comment on real quick is, I like your shirt. You dressed up for us.
No, I just love this shirt myself. It's very comfortable. Terry.
Yeah.
How's your week looking? I may have sent another client your way, so it may not be as quiet as you expect.
Damn it, he's going to have to work 2 hours this week.
I know.
I was going to go and get Steve and put some stuff on Amazon.
Yeah. Pasta sauce.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Hey, look, if Robert Redford, who's famous for acting and riding around on a bicycle with Butch Cassidy, can make a successful grocery line, then Terry, what the hell are you up to? Your sauces should be out there. You should be a millionaire by now.
Yep. I'm finishing up some websites and doing the usual. Working too many hours lately.
Yeah. Still better too many than too few.
Oh, probably still half as many as Steve works.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us.
A few hours.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I think that's all we've really got time for this week. We went a little bit over, but not bad for us. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Later, everybody.